What happens when you mix the plot of the Star Wars prequel trilogy with an Oz movie? Well, what you get is Oz the Bad and Weak. I mean, Oz the Great and Powerful. Sorry, got the title wrong. Okay, so let's talk about what the film does right. First off, the best thing in this entire film is Michelle Williams as Glinda the Good Witch. She is spot on. 90% of the time, she is acting superbly, and I loved her performance in this movie. It was the most engaging part of the entire movie. There was 10% of the time where she was doing this thing where it's like robotic, stiff acting, wooden acting, whatever you want to call it. When all these actors, so many of them have wooden acting, I think it was the direction and this bad direction of acting and bad writing, because for this many talented actors to be acting wooden, it can't be an unfortunate coincidence. But Michelle Williams, she elevates her character beyond what I expected. I enjoyed her character. I rooted for her character. I liked her character. I wish she had been in it a little bit more, but they do have her in a good bit. This film, though, other than that, there are a few good things, but there's no outstanding things, in my opinion. There's this little monkey guy, voiced by Zach Braff, the guy from Scrubs, and he does do a good job of what he's doing, but I just didn't find the gags they had funny. But I do think that the character had some merit in this movie a little bit, enough for a little credit. And I also thought that there's this China doll, and there's this girl who, like in the real world part of the movie, she can't walk, but she asked the wizard to, and the wizard, of course, he's a fake because he's a bad magician. That's just part of the character of Oz. But in the land of Oz, he can actually help her, and I thought that was sweet and cute in its own way, and it was good that they did that. And I have to say, I like James Franco kind of in this movie. I think that there are times where he looked sympathetic that I really liked what he's doing. It's just that he's not the best actor at playing characters who are narcissistic, womanizing con men. It seems more like a role for Robert Downey Jr., and he was actually considered for this role, or Johnny Depp was the second choice for this role, and really those two should have been the guy playing it to carry the whole movie. It would have been better. But Franco does try. I did not hate his performance, as some people did. I think he tried, and I think it was a so-so performance, but I did enjoy aspects of his performance. As for what the film gets wrong, it's really pacing issues, really, and that's because the plot is a little nonsensical. It's supposed to be a prequel to the Oz books, but at the same time, it's advertised as an Oz movie, so people are automatically think it's a prequel to the original Wizard of Oz movie, and it's not. And it doesn't add up how this world can later be inhabited by Dorothy, because it seems like it's a part of Oz's mind. It doesn't make sense that Dorothy just shows up and happens to be at the same place and affects the events. That seems a little bit just crazy to me, but if you can just put all those things aside, all the things that don't make logical sense about that, you get down to what the film's about. There's this guy named Oscar Diggs. He calls himself Oz. He's a bad magician, and he gets into a tight situation that's not... I did not hear it explained. If you heard it explained, feel free to tell me. I mean, I think I know how it was, but it was not elaborated on. It just happened really quick, and all of a sudden, before you know it, he's on a hot air balloon, and a tornado comes up and takes him away, and he goes to Oz. So that happens, and from then I could tell there's going to be some problems, because the black and white part of the film was not impressive to me. I mean, there were a few things that were interesting, mainly Michelle Williams showing up for a little bit. I thought that was interesting, but it just seems to me like they cared more about making this movie about spectacle, which isn't a bad thing if the spectacle is good, but the problem is that the special effects in this movie look very cartoonish and unimpressive. These are like the special effects in the original Spider-Man trilogy that they're fighting, and then all of a sudden you see for a second it looks like it's still, and you see the CGI, and you go, oof. And when you like those movies before, like I used to like them and be like, oh, that's cool, but now looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, this guy and special effects and all this does not mix well. It just, the cartoonish special effects really ruined a lot of the movie for me, because I didn't feel wonder at being in Oz. I felt like I was just watching this CGI spectacle from second to second, but not impressed at all because it looked too cartoonish and fake. And some people may disagree with me, but that ruined a lot of the movie for me. Other problems I have with this movie is that the plot is basically a rip-off of the Star Wars prequels plot, and I know there's so many other stories like it, but guess what? The plot didn't work in Star Wars prequels. It's not going to work in many situations. And there's a guy. He's not very likable, and yet he's the chosen one of a prophecy. He's not what they expect, but he somehow, all in the end, fulfills the prophecy, and that just... it's so typical, and there's a sidekick that he saves the guy's life, saves the monkey's life, and of course, he has a life debt to him. Jar Jar Binks, anyone? Not annoying like Jar Jar, but still, it's the same concept. And this film's writing is so atrocious. The worst sin of this movie is that it has the Wicked Witch of the West in it, and they totally neuter her character. They made her a joke, really. The way she looks is so stupid, and she says such awful dialogue, and they miscast her. I won't tell you who it is in case you haven't seen it, but goodness, she was terrible. She's meant to be a comedic person, not evil, and she's not good at being evil, and it's just awful and ruins it. She has such awful dialogue. She says stuff like, "You believe in the wizard? So did I once." And she liked him for like a day and took him to like the kingdom. And I mean, she only knew him a few days, and she's like, "I believed in him once." And she says it so like wooden. That's the main problem, is that Rami, however you want to say his name, he just totally he botched up how to tell them to act in this movie, because it's not just this girl who's miscast. Rachel Weisz is in this movie, or Weisz, and she is wooden as can be. I mean, she's wooden as his statue. They're so wooden in this movie. When you have all these wooden people and cartoonish background, your movie's fine enough to build battle, and the movie's too long. The movie is too long. It's not interesting enough. There's no great battle to like distract you. There are some magical things that look somewhat cool, and some of them look really lazy. And it's like, really, I have to say though that the climax does help the movie a bit. It did make things a little bit better, and then there is a little nice reference with the old Wizard of Oz. There's some references towards the end, and I think that at the end it picked up some. The one acting does it in. But as a whole, there are enough good things, tiny good things, besides Michelle Williams, which is awesome in this movie. She deserves a lot of credit for helping carry this film beyond pure crap. I would give it a 2 out of 5. It's school lunch. So tell me, what did you think of the original Wizard of Oz? Did you love it? Do you think that's a little bit annoying how some of the characters talk now? I kind of see that point of view, but I did enjoy it because there's more wonder in that movie than in this one, I felt like. How did you feel about the new one? Did you like it? Tell me why you liked it. Tell me why I'm wrong if you think I'm wrong. If I'm right if you think I'm right, then please tell me what you agree with me on, or if you agree with me on everything, that's wonderful. But just let me know. So give me a like and subscribe. Hope you enjoyed, guys. You're wonderful.